Coming at you from the south side of Chicago, straight out of my mother's basement at my childhood home, I'd like to welcome you all to the Power to Persist. Today, I want to talk about a generation that gets talked about a lot, but not always accurately. A generation people make assumptions about, judge too quickly, or misunderstand entirely. I want to talk about Gen Z and why I believe they are one of the most quietly resilient, creative, and resourceful generations we've ever seen. And here's the thing, the data backs it up. Gen Z did not inherit stability. They inherited disruption and adapted anyway. Look at the environment they're growing up in. 45% of Gen Z say they live paycheck to paycheck, even with full-time work. College tuition has risen nearly 170% since the 1980s, while entry-level wages have barely moved. The average cost of a starter home today is 7 to 8 times the average salary, twice what it was for millennials and Gen X. More than 70% of Gen Z report feeling financially anxious on a weekly basis. And then the pandemic. A chapter that seems far behind us, but its effects are still unfolding in real time. More than 55 million students in the U.S. were sent home essentially overnight. A CDC report found that 63% of young adults experienced significant social disruption and increased loneliness during that period. This is not a generation that inherited that traditional roadmap that we're accustomed to. They inherited fragments and built new ones. When traditional paths shrank, Gen Z created new ones. Here's what the numbers show. 62% of Gen Z either has a side hustle or wants one. Almost half are learning skills online that used to require college degrees. More than 1 in 5 hopes to start a business someday, one of the highest rates of any generation surveyed, by the way. Gen Z didn't wait for systems to adjust to them. They adjusted to the world they got and turned it into possibility. Gen Z is resourceful in ways earlier generations didn't have to be. They use platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Discord as skill-building ecosystems, not just entertainment. Nearly 70% say they learn just-in-time skills online, meaning they find what they need when they need it and apply it immediately. 40% of Gen Z workers say they prefer multiple income streams rather than a single job, not for luxury, but for stability. Adaptability is where Gen Z quietly shines. A McKinsey study showed that Gen Z is the fastest generation to adopt new technology, not because it's trendy, but because they've had to evolve constantly. They adjust to a changing job market, new definitions of work, virtual and hybrid environments, shifting social norms, rapid cultural change, and they do it faster than any generation measured. You know, life has a funny way of testing us right when we think we have it all figured out. Those moments remind us that resilience is not about never failing. That's what the Power to Persist is all about. 8 simple habits to help you stay grounded, strong, and focused when life gets a little heavy. I'd be honored if you came along on this journey with me. Visit LamellMcMorris.com to get your copy of The Power to Persist and listen to the Power to Persist podcast so we can continue to persist together. Now let me speak directly to Gen Z. You are creative, not in a superficial way, but in a structural way. You create new paths, new methods, new industries. You make things work when traditional solutions fall short. You are resourceful because life taught you to be. You self-educate. You design opportunities. You build communities in ways older generations don't always understand. You are adaptable, profoundly adaptable. Even after experiencing social isolation at scale, even when an economy that shifts constantly, you keep learning, adjusting, and moving. Here's what the numbers don't show, but I see clearly. You're not lost. You're not failing. You're not doing life wrong. You are navigating challenges older generations didn't face. and you are still creating something new. You are a generation that learns quickly, reinvents constantly, shifts gracefully, questions things that don't make sense, pushes for balance, values mental health. These are strengths, not shortcomings, and they matter deeply for the future we're building together. Let me leave you with this. You are creating the next chapter of this country, and frankly, this world, not by marching every day, but by rewriting career paths, redefining community, reshaping identity, reinventing creativity, normalizing conversations about mental health, and adapting to changes faster than any generation we've ever seen. Your resilience is not loud, it's consistent. Your leadership is not always public, but it's powerful. Your creativity isn't hype, it's how you build your life. If no one has told you this today, I see you, I respect you, and I believe in what you're building. Let's continue to persist together.